Welcome you all for this wonderful webinar. Yeah, let us wait. We will start at 7:02. Okay. Sir, admin sir, please give co-host to Prasanna Rao sir.
ஹலோ சார், கேக்குதுங்களா?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
சார் அட்மின் கொடுத்தாச்சு அண்ட் லைவும் ஸ்டார்ட் ஆயிடுச்சுங்க சார்.
So, good evening once again. So, I welcome you all for this wonderful webinar. So, first, I welcome Prasanna Rao sir. So, it's a privilege to welcome Prasanna Rao sir here. So, now I will give a brief introduction about Prasanna Rao sir. So, Mr. Prasanna Rao sir is a distinguished strategy and consulting professional with over 25 years of experience in management consulting, program and change management, and AI-driven digital transformation also. So, as a vice president at Accenture Song UK, so he manages a portfolio worth 2 billion US dollars, overseeing more than 1,400 employees and serving 800 plus clients across UK, Ireland, and South Africa. With a strong consulting background, Mr. Rao sir has consistently bridged the gap between strategy and execution. So helping organization align operating models, process, and technology to achieve sustainable growth. So his passion for education and innovation is evident in his contribution to academia. So where he has designed corporate readiness framework for colleges in Tamil Nadu, developed AI-driven employee engagement models, and advised institutions on analytic solutions to track students' performance and growth. So beyond his corporate achievements, Mr. Rouser is a dedicated mentor and life coach, guiding students and professionals on career development, employability skills, and industry readiness. He has also been a sought-after speaker on topics such as change management in the digital era, entrepreneurship, and the future role of AI in education. So we are truly honored to have Mr. Prasanna Rao sir with us today as our chief guest. And we look forward to his inspiring words and valuable insights, sir. Yes, please, sir, take over the session.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Dhanraj. I hope I am audible. Let me know otherwise.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, and firstly, a warm welcome to everybody. Thank you so much for taking time to be part of this session. And it's definitely an honor for me to be here today amongst you. So yeah, so let's dive deep into this. So I think, and thank you so much, Dr. Dhanraj, for that wonderful introduction. And I also want to thank Dr. Dhanraj and his team very much because they have been coordinating with me on this for a very long time, with only one intention, right? That the entire student fraternity and of course the administration of the college, both sides should get benefited by bringing in people from the industry to talk about what's exactly happening. So today, I want to thank them firstly and then start the session. I will share my screen, and in case it is not visible, just let me know. Not yet shared. Just give me a second.
Uh, no, sir, not yet shared, sir.
Yeah. No, I haven't shared it yet. 1 second. I just need to put it on the full screen before I share. So, although there are slides, so my humble request to each one of you is, in case if you have any questions, we obviously will have time towards the end, and we can talk through that. At the same time, if there are anything that you could probably put it on the chat, and if I'm not able to answer it, then we can always collaborate on some other social network. So that shouldn't be a problem at all. So let me now share my screen. Okay, so it should come up in a moment. Yeah, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, thank you. So let's get started. Now, before we get started, the intent of this session, right, is primarily to talk about, I know how ready is the current student fraternity, right? What's changing? What is happening in the industry at large? And how should one get adapted to that? That's why the title itself, I kept it as skill adapt succeed, because you need something beyond what you are doing in your college as part of your academia, right? Otherwise, it's going to be slightly difficult, right? I wouldn't say you won't land up in a job. That's not what I mean. But I'm saying it's a competitive world out there. So it's important for us to be equipped to face whatever comes our way, right? So with that intent, let's just look at what's happening in the industry. There are a few short 10-second, 15-second videos. Go through them as well, and in case if you have any questions, park it for the later part of the conversation. Else put it in the chat and we can pick it up. So yeah, so you all might know that there are so many people who actually participate and they in and graduate year on year, right? Especially like if you look at a country like India, statistics say that almost a crore of students pass out every year across multiple disciplines, right? I'm not getting into the details of what discipline are they coming out of, but at large they are, right? Now, again, statistics say that only 45% of them are employable. And out of that 45%, there's only a handful of them, a 30% or so, who actually go through the first, the interview and clear it, right? So, which means our overall turnover or first pass yield, so to say, in statistics terms, is pretty low, right? Why? But there are so much of jobs in demand, right? So year on year, colleges, institutions churn so many students, but yet there are people who are not able to get employment, right? So let's first look at that. Sorry, is the audio audible? Like, is the video coming through along with the audio?
No, no, sir. It's loading. I think it's 30% loaded, sir.
No, now.
No audio, sir.
Okay.
Sir, you can add an option that share with sound, sir.
Okay. Where do I do that? Over here?
No, sir, no.
Not
So
there, right?
yeah, in share we have option share sound also, sir.
Okay. Maybe let me check. I may have to end the show to check that, but suggestion is probably let's go through it. I mean, there are captions there. So basically it's the same thing, right? And here is the statistics, right? So what we are saying is 1 crore graduates come out every year, 45 to 50% employable, 70%, they don't get through the interview rounds the first attempt, right? And then the first year attrition, right? This is something, it was a shock when I actually went through the statistics and looked at it, saying 30% first year attrition. And then when I go back to a few of my HR friends and colleagues, they say, yeah, it's actually a little more than 30%. It's not even just 30%, right? So, anyways, the intent here is that what what is it that is happening, right? Why are we not able to get people to move? Because the job market is going through a dramatic paradigm shift, right? So it's more of a transformation that's happening not only within the corporates but overall in the job market itself, right? So now what is happening is it's more globalization. um, there is more technology that people are looking at. Business models are changing, right? So earlier it was very traditional, easy way of working. Business is changing. Why is business models changing? Because the customer behavior is changing, right? The buying patterns are changing. People are not waiting for things to arrive. They want it, like if they like it, they want it the minute they see it, right? So and it applies to all of us, right? So there have been so many times all of us would have done some kind of an impulsive buying now, or just to gratify that urge to buy some stuff, right? So it happens. And that is the reason primarily why business models are changing, because they have to adapt to the consumer behavior, right? Now what does this mean from a job perspective, right? Is that they're seeking more of professionals who can do more of a hybrid kind of work, right? Not only a technical kind of work, but a hybrid kind of work. What does that mean? That means to say, let's say I'm an engineer, a technology, let's say computer science or information technology, but knowing what I'm doing in IT or in my area is not sufficient. Understanding how my work is going to impact the overall business at large, and how the outcomes are going to impact the consumers at large is most important thing at this point in time, right? So the expectation is everybody understands business and then apply that knowledge that they have learned in your academia to help run that business, right? That's the expectation today. Now, if you look at another point which I wanted to talk about is the GCCs, right? So there have been a lot of change that has happened in the GCC world. Today, we call it as a global capability center. Erstwhile, it was called as global in-house center. Even before that, it was called as offshore delivery center. Then interim, it was called a shared services center, right? So it has evolved from an offshore delivery center to a shared service center to a global in-house center and now to a global capability center. What I would want and request each one of you to understand is the difference that has happened or how it has evolved, right? And I'll keep it very short because this itself is a topic of its own, but I wanted to give a quick sneak peek into what is exactly means. Earlier, what they used to do, as all of us know, they used to outsource work. And then they said, okay, outsourcing is becoming expensive because the vendors are charging quite a bit of money. So let's probably set up our own shared services center and send all the back office activities to that shared services center. Now that's how it started. Later, they said, okay, why not send even probably part of the middle office work, all right? Um, they said, yeah, we can do that. And they said, okay, how are we going to define it? Then they said, no, let's probably make it in a near shore center. So if somebody is sending work from, let's say, Europe, they will probably have a near shore center in Bucharest or Prague, and then an offshore center somewhere, let's say in Bangalore or Coimbatore or wherever that may be. And that's how they used to juggle. Now, what they shifted is that why are we looking at it only from a shared services perspective? Because when you have a shared services center kind of a model, all you can do is probably make best use of the labor arbitrage that is there, right? Uh, and you can standardize processes, definitely yes, but you cannot scale and you cannot bring in disruptive innovation, which is what is the need of the hour, right? So there is no more conventional way of methods of innovating within a corporate organization. It's all disruptive. They want to change, they want to challenge the status quo so that there is something tangible that comes out of it. So the global capability center model works in a different way. Of course, it has a shared services center built into it, whereby all the rudimentary work that is being done is handled somewhere, right? But at the same time, they also create center of excellences. They have a center of excellence for customer relations, a center of excellence for human resources management, a center of excellence for marketing operations, right? So each center of excellence is entitled or given a responsibility of ensuring that that particular practice has policies, procedures, you name it, is all should be there as part of the operational activities that are happening. So that is the reason why a lot of GCCs are now coming in, yes, especially into India. And the rate in which they are expanding is definitely going to be very high because at least as far as statistics goes, I think in a place like Tamil Nadu, they are looking at expanding at least 46 to 50 percentage of GCCs in the next 2 years, right? Which means that from a current 70,000 people who are working in a place like Coimbatore in multiple GCCs, this figure can just triple over the next 4 to 5 years at max. And recently, there has been an MOU that has been signed between Answer and the Tamil Nadu government. And Answer is definitely a great organization where they bring in a lot of they're known for setting up GCCs in India, right? So with that, I just move on because I want to talk about what the hiring landscape looks like, right? And this is definitely something which I curated based on my understanding, based on my discussion with um, my friends and colleagues in the HR world, right? So if you look at it, AI and automation, that's like the mantra today. Everywhere it is artificial intelligence. And we spoke about GCCs, and then we need to also talk about two other things, which is uh, digital first skills, right? Because what is happening is some of these skills are not an option anymore, right? I mean, understanding data analytics, or how to interpret data, how to you know structure data, how to bring in a data lake to make it work for you from an innovation standpoint. Those are all like basic things that we need to know. Now, another very key point here is the faster readiness, because companies don't have time, and neither do they have that amount of money to invest in bringing somebody on board, explaining them how things work, giving them, let's say, 3 to 6 months time to settle down, understand, understand the lay of the land, and then get started. Companies expect professionals to work from day one, right? You are thrown in the deep end, right? There's no way you can say, I can't do this, right? So there is coaching, but they expect you to be quick learners. There is mentoring, but that mentoring will be for a very limited duration, because everybody is busy chasing one target or the other, right? So this is how the new hiring landscape looks like. And from a job market standpoint, this is very important. What you need to know is basically, like I mentioned, a lot of GCCs are mushrooming all over India, but we have a projected growth rate of about close to 4.5%, right? And primarily, it's all in the digital transformation, right? It's all in the technology-driven expansion that is happening, and a lot of new models of employment, like we all would have heard gig economy and flexible working arrangements, hybrid work from home, blah blah blah, right? Those are all there. But of all these things, the most important two things is, one is, in everything that we do, it's technology, has to be technology driven, right? And they have made it so simple, right? So just a couple of days back, Google Nano Banana got launched, right? I tried my hand at it to see how it works. It's like fantastic, right? I mean, you just give a very simple command and it creates what you want. So the entire concept of graphic designing and stuff like that is out of the door. You don't even need to do that anymore. It's just a tool. You have a pro license to it, you're sorted, right? So that is how it is going to be. Now, is AI replacing people? No. Is technology replacing people? No. What it is doing is it is replacing skills. All the skills that are no longer required will move away. And all these skills, you should know how to, in the right way, give the command so that it gives you the desired output first time, right? It's not like you keep experiment because you don't have time. Similarly, you need to know what is prompt engineering so that you know how should you plan things around it, right? So in effect, what is happening is it is not about the credentials anymore. It is about the skills, right? You need to build certain skills over and above your academia in order for you to be employable in the first place, right? And then sustenance. And this is exactly why I wanted to, be very, very specific on this point, because the intent here is not to say, okay, we'll work towards getting you a job. No, the intent here is to enable the future for you, right? Because the future is changing by the day, right? Maybe by the day is an understatement. It's changing by the minute, right? And therefore, it is not very easy to catch up with everything that's happening in the digital world or in the technology world. But within your area or your circle of influence and circle of control that you may have, what is it that you can leverage from a technology expansion standpoint is what you need to keep in mind, right? Again, we are just going through the same thing on what are the next 5 years going to see, right? Next 5 years, it's all about data, machine learning, AI, right? Cybersecurity. I can't, emphasize how important this is, right? Because with all the data that is running around, with all the technology that is coming into place, we are creating a parallel universe, as simple as that, right? And we need to be watchful of what we put in, because at the end of the day, computer is very, very simple, right? And if you go back to the stone age of computing, all that they told us was garbage in, garbage out. Simple, right? That's like fundamentals. But then, as the evolution happened over a period of time, frauds, right, and misappropriation of data, and we have seen, recently how they planned an attack, using certain cryptic ways of email exchanges, not even sending email, right? So a lot of things like that are coming to the light. So I think it is important for all of us to understand how to maneuver cybersecurity, how to understand the adoption of it, how to look at ensuring that data is not used inappropriately, right? And then comes everybody's favorite subject, which is sustainability and green energy. Now, again, every organization is looking at net zero carbon emissions, right? So we're looking at how we can leverage natural resources rather than, polluting the environment more and more. So these are the areas in which you have to look at opportunities. For example, carbon credit is one of the biggest things that's happening in the next few years in India, right? Somebody has a farmland with a lot of coconut groves and trees and so on and so forth. Wow, they are going to be the richest. Simple as that, right? Um, so carbon credit is very, very important concept that's picking up fairly quickly, right? Software development and product development, I'm not a very big fan of it, though. It's there on this list here because when we created this together, some of our friends suggested this as well. But yeah, I mean, those will be there regardless of what we do. Biotech, healthcare, definitely. A future of medicine is actually changing. I know of somebody who is actually a psychiatrist who provides only tele-psychiatric treatments, right? She is changing the world of psychiatry, right? So, and it's not easy to do a counseling session on a telephone, on a mobile phone, right? Where you don't see your patient. But imagine, you know what? Some of her patients are not even in India. They're probably in Singapore or, Indonesia and so on and so forth. But she does it so effortlessly because of technology. She is able to literally, be in their living room and talk to them, right? So that's the level at which it is picking pace. And these are the major areas. And my favorite here is green energy and cybersecurity, right? Those are the areas which will be the most sought after, given that, we are creating a parallel universe with data. It's quintessential to take care of digital risk and cybersecurity. And with all of the, you know, batteries lying around, it's going to be only the green energy that's going to talk after a point in time. Moving on, this is something which I love, this concept of multiplier effect, right? So it's a very simple thing, but has a multiplier effect. And I think I touched upon it even before I started talking through the slides, which is on the consumer adoption or behavioral changes that is happening. Um, More and more, if you see today, wherever, whichever part of the world you go, whichever part of India you go, at least, right? Uh, QR codes, even a small time vendor uh, is having a QR code available, because that means to say the adoption of digitization has changed, right? The digital adoption has changed, which means you know, uh, you can't still use your old ways of having a credit card, or working with walking around with a wallet full of currencies, trying to give and get change and so on and so forth, because that's not going to happen anymore, right? Everybody has a QR code. You just scan, you pay, or you tap, and it gets paid, right? That's how it is, right? Buying patterns have changed, right? Consumers want more quality products at affordable prices within a specified period of time. That's the condition, right? Well, for example, when my dad bought a car back in the day, I know that we kind of went, made a payment, booked the car, and then waited for 6 months, and then it got delivered, right? And we were so excited as kids that, okay, we're going to get a car in 6 months, 5 months, 4 months. but but now, that's not how it is, right? um, the way it is change. Sorry, somebody needs to go on mute. Okay, thank you. I hope everybody can hear me. So yeah, so we were so excited about the car thing, right? And then today, if you look at it, people don't have the time to wait for you know taking delivery of a car. So they're like, okay, we made the payment, I need the product, right? And now it's also changing slightly, though they are ready to wait, however, only when there is a customization element that enters, right? So if you are going to buy the stock variant, maybe in 3 days, if the stock is available, you are going to get the vehicle delivered. But if you want customizations, if you want some bells and whistles to be added to it over and above what it has already, then they say, okay, we might have to customize it for you, so it will take some time, right? So that's the buying behavior that has changed, right? um you name a sector, right? Be it anything, like pharma, supply chain, manufacturing, um IT, uh, finance, accounting, every single sector, the adoption of digitization has increased manifold, and at the same time, consumer buying behaviors have changed. So that's why I told, when we spoke about, in the initial part of this conversation, that hybrid is what people are now looking in corporates. So if you say that I am a mechanical engineer, my next question is, what specialization, which particular branch of mechanical engineering are you specialist in? So I'll give you a very real life example, right? So somebody in one of my team members wanted to apply outside for a job, and she was very, very open and candid about it with me. And I said, yeah, go ahead. So apparently she applied somewhere and she got a first call from the HR. And the HR said, okay, ma'am, okay, we know that you are a MBA, great. You've been working for 7 years, great. You are working in project management, great. Tell me, what particular industry of project management are you a specialist? And she was like, what do you mean, what industry? I can do project management anywhere. No, no, no. What industry? Have you done it in pharma? If you have not done in pharma, then you will not understand how a pharma life cycle works. So how will you then manage a project within a pharmaceutical company? So they have got extremely specific. At the same time, they expect hybrid understanding. So the expectation from my team member of that particular organization was, you need to know project management. That's your domain. Great. But you need to know how project management will work when it comes to pharmacovigilance in a pharmaceutical company. And you need to also understand the overall life cycle of a drug development, right? So that you understand the business and then apply your project management knowledge and then work on that particular project to deliver that particular outcome. So that's the level of breakup that people are expecting. So in this, you guys can think about it and answer to yourself, how much is credentials mattering here than competency? It's only competency. It's credentials are only helping you to some extent to probably get a not even a foot in the door, I would say. I would probably say it's just a small peek that you get, sneak peek into what is happening. What's more important is to build your competency. And that's when, my friends, the gap of employability will reduce. Otherwise, it will remain as is or widen, right? So again, it is not about AI replacing people. It's not about machines replacing people. It's about skills and competencies replacing the traditional ways of working, right? Now, where students struggle today, let's look at it. Where do you guys struggle? Students struggle primarily because, one, you will need a lot more practical exposure into how things work, right? Which means you will have to do more internship kind of work, um, applying your knowledge into developing solutions, solving problems. Because today, if I throw a problem at one of you and say, can you define an operating model? And most important condition, you cannot use ChatGPT, Gemini, none of that. You use your brains and come up with a operating model for a particular company, right? Where will you start? Where will you end? What's your roadmap to get an operating model and deploy it, right? Will you use design thinking? Do you understand how the concept of design thinking works? And what are the various personas that you're going to create? How will you do the empathy mapping? I can keep going on, but this is exactly what is required because that's where you get differentiated, right? Otherwise, you are one amongst those 1 crore people or 10 million people who come out of colleges and say, I'm a B, I'm a BCom, I'm a BSc, I'm, this, that, blah, blah, blah. But where is the differentiation until and unless you are able to say, okay, this is what I have done. I have solved a problem of a particular company by, being an intern, right? Or by taking a project or a case study, whatever. Second is behavioral gaps, right? Corporate behavior, workplace etiquette. Now, these are all soft skills. There are n number of trainers who provide these soft skill training, but certain things are very, very important, which I have curated in the entire. I've looked at all the trainers and I have curated, and they have not come up with this, right? Nobody is able to explain how to work with ethical dilemma, how to deal with ethical dilemma, how to deal with emotional intelligence at workplace. Real life scenarios are required for you to get that exposure, right? And communication gap, right? Anyways, in the interest of time, I'm moving on. Um, Now, why is the gap existing? Again, there's a video which I don't think the video will not have audio playing. Apologies for that. Yeah, so the captions were there, thankfully. But yeah, the gap, right? So if you look at what predominantly colleges focus on is definitely exams, attendance, marks, theory, syllabus, very clear, right? That's like 80%. I'm not saying they focus 100% only on this, but they focus on this predominantly. But what is it that the corporate boardroom is expecting from all of you? Is totally different, right? The attitude, the mindset, the culture, This is a very important point on culture, right? Every one of you have to get trained on how to maneuver and how to sustain an organization culture. Because if you don't, like, I'll give you my own example, right? Today I'm in Accenture, but I have also worked in another organization, which is a pharmaceutical giant from Switzerland, right? Europe. Uh, when I moved in there, I I got escalated the third day of my job, right? And my manager called me and he said, "Let's go for a you know coffee break. I would like to have a conversation." So I said, "Okay, all right." The first thing he said is, "Please unlearn whatever you're doing. Please unlearn it. Forget it. It won't work here." I said, "Why?" He said, "Simple, right? You are setting up a meeting at 5 p.m. India time, which is when the office buses are due to leave, right? So office buses leave around 5:15, and people board the bus by 5 o'clock. And they won't be interested in taking your call. They will be interested in going back home because the next day morning they're here at 9 o'clock, right? And they need to have a good work-life balance. So that will not work. Two, you are setting up a meeting when it is lunchtime in Switzerland, and that will not work because over there in Switzerland, 12 to 1 is lunch means 12 to 1 is lunch. They don't care what happens then, right? So I didn't know that because I'm going from an organization where, you know, work is mattering the most. People are very flexible, very different, right? Not so finicky about certain things like this. So once in a while, if you have a meeting during a lunchtime, people will just grab the lunch and still be on the phone, keep talking to you while they have their lunch. So I'm so used to that. I myself do that. But over there, it's a totally different situation. It doesn't work that way. That culture understanding, how will you get it when if you are going straight from college into an organization? You're completely different on your culture, and over there the culture is totally different, right? Multitasking, how will you manage multitasking, right? How will you manage stress? You might have learned 10 different subjects in school or college. No disrespect there. You would have definitely given seminars, you've written assignments and submitted theses, blah blah blah. No disrespect to that. However, when it comes to the corporate world, the stress levels are different, right? The expectation is different. Outcomes matter more than anything, right? So for me, when I talk to my team, I keep telling them only one thing: walk the talk, right? And show, not tell. These are two things. Show the outcome. Don't keep saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. That I don't want that. So these are things that the corporates expect vis-a-vis what the college offers. There's a definitely something that we need to work on. Well, the gap actually starts over here, right? Because colleges are, it's a systemic failure, I would say, to some extent, where colleges are, more towards not only college or any educational institution, right? Very, very heavy on your theory. There are some of the schools and colleges right now where you get to learn hands-on things, right? Like there is no curriculum, there is no textbooks that you need to go through. But of course, that is not that kind of education system is not something that everybody has access to. This is so expensive that people who are in the elite class can afford. What about the masses, right? We should look at that. We cannot always cater to one section of the society, right? So the masses still go to schools and colleges where you have the same thing, right? Physics, chemistry, maths, biology, and blah blah blah, commerce, accountancy, economics, and this then. Now they have every institution has AI, which is fine, which is good, but that's not sufficient, right? Practical exposure is required. Second, mentoring. I'm telling you some things which I feel, if somebody would have given me this kind of mentoring opportunity when I was struggling to get into a job and settle down, I would have been so happy, right? I could not get that. But today, I think it is very important for all of us to have that mentoring available, especially people from industry should be there to mentor so that you get real time understanding. It's like having an encyclopedia with you wherever you go, right? Or no, forget encyclopedia, it's having co-pilot. Let me also get updated. It's like having a co-pilot with you wherever you go, right? Or a chat GPT wherever you go. So that you get a empathy based mentoring and not something like do this, do that kind of a mentoring. It should be an empathy based mentoring. And corporate exposure is important uh, through internships or otherwise. And I have a few thoughts which I've penned on, and it's still in development stage, I would say, in terms of how to approach internships. That's a topic on its own. I'm not going to deep dive into it today, but I'm challenging the status quo, right? I'm going to challenge the way internships are done. I'm going to challenge the way we can turn it around and make it more interesting, and make it more interesting for the corporates, plus make it more um, you know helpful for the students, right? And the last point is on the missing the readiness training, right? Because what happens is only during the final year in many colleges, I'm not saying all colleges, but many colleges that I have been privy to, during the last semester, they say, okay, we have to prep students for placements. Let's get started. They identify students, train them, but they train them really well. But yet, there's only few people who go through that filter during the training and placement point. The remaining just stay there. For in my view, I think you will have to widen the time that is given for that readiness and bring in the right set of people to prepare students to be ready and make sure that they find a placement. That's how it should be. This is most important for all of you, right? Learning agility, collaboration, professional behavior, clarity, problem solving. I've just listed a few, but I'm telling you, there is so much beyond what meets your eyes. This is just the tip of the iceberg, guys. Right? If I'm not wrong, I think I'm working on it. As I said, I've come up with like 8 to 9 different modules in which one gets assessed in a corporate world, right? And those are not one of those cliche ways of assessing somebody, right? It's way, way different from what you would have already seen. Yeah. But we will talk about it when we are ready for it. I'm skipping that video because, anyways, you guys are not able to hear the audio. But this is the equation for your employability, guys, right? Skills, behavior, exposure, attitude. These are the 4 things that you need to be, looking at. Overarching this is your domain, capability, all of that, credentials. But this is what makes you, they say good to great, right? This is what takes you from good to great. Skills, behavior, exposure, attitude, right? And this is the framework that I'm working on. I'm just going to skip and go straight into what we are working on, right? Working on these things. It's about skill readiness, like we spoke about, professional readiness, corporate mindset, workplace exposure. Similar to what you just saw, where we spoke about skills, attitude, the equation itself, right? It's the same thing. So if you go back and look at the equation, employability, skills, behavior, exposure, attitude, we are working on the same concept, right? We're trying to say how to make students get better exposed to the corporate ways of working. How can somebody hit the ground running from day one, right? No need for training. That's what we're working on. Um, Yeah, so we will talk about this, but I think in the interest of time, I'm just going to skip here. And I want to talk about 5 key takeaways for all of you. One, skills matter more than certificates and degrees, right? Companies hire mindset and behavior, not your technical knowledge, because today that's very easy to find, right? Um, Adaptability, definitely yes, because like I said, multitasking, changing things, um, stress handling, racing against timelines. This is how it's going to be, and you need to be very agile, right? And then exposure. You need to get exposed to various facets of how corporates work and what they expect, so that that builds your confidence in the first place. Otherwise, you go into the interview room, people are like they're waiting there for you to be you know vulnerable. Simple as that, right? And then end of the day, it's your career, your responsibility. You need to take it in your hands. And there's no point in blaming the institution, the placement cell, blah, blah, blah. It's about you. You have the right attitude, you have the right skill set, you have the right competency, you at least stand a chance, right? Otherwise, you don't even have the chance. And thank you. I will definitely want to thank Dhanraj sir and his team once again for this wonderful opportunity. And I love the saying from Martin Luther King. It says, "If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But keep moving." Right? That's the most important thing. You cannot afford to wait. And this is the entire concept of agile, right? If you go back and think about it, now, what is Scrum and Agile all about? Right? It's all about incrementally building it. Right? You don't want to build an entire product or an operating model or a design of for a customer and then come and say, okay, your design is ready. It's like brick by brick you build it so that the customer or the client sees the work that you're doing, is able to appreciate what is being done, and is able to and you are able to course correct in case of a feedback. Right? With that, thank you once again for patiently listening. I think we're bang on time. I've got 10 minutes for any questions, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful presentation. So now the floor is open for question and answer session. So if you have any doubts, you can ask. Otherwise, you can post your questions in chat window. So sir will answer your questions. So participants, you can please post your questions in chat window. So sir will answer. Sir, there is a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, I saw that. So thank you, ma'am, for that question. And I think very, very valid and pertinent question, right? I'll tell you again another small story of a college where I was called very recently, like 3, 4 weeks back. And what they told us was they just gave a problem statement. They said, "We want to change the curriculum, and please can you review it and change it?" And I said, "I'm not going to do it." The reason why I said I'm not going to do it is because, one, it was more of a check in the box that they wanted to do, because they wanted to get some kind of approval from some you know bureaucrat or whatever department. I don't know. So I turned it down. But then when I reflected upon what they were doing, and I was thinking, what is the right thing to do? I think the first and foremost thing for any institution to do is to bring in two sets of people, right? One, an academician; two, an industry person. right? So let's say, for example, you want to do some change in the curriculum for MBA students, and again, double click, go to the next layer, let's say marketing. Then you bring in an academician who is working in the marketing area over and above the current professor or lecturer, whoever it may be, and bring in a person from the industry who is pretty much working, let's say, something related to marketing, strategy, advisory, consulting, or marketing operations, um, uh, ad- so on and so forth, right? Bring in such people so that you get the different perspectives. Otherwise, it becomes it is not a well-oiled machinery, right? You come up with a curriculum based on what you think is right, and then you don't even unfortunately, and when I say you, I'm not meaning you, I'm generalizing it. We come up with a curriculum, we don't have any idea of what the environment outside is looking at that curriculum, right? So what will happen, we will just go get approved, especially when it is a deemed university and all. It's easy, right? You get your approvals done and then you get started with the curriculum. Students come and learn, they pay money to learn, and then they don't get what they deserve in the market because that's obsolete. What they have learned is obsolete, or it's not in anymore in the trend, right? And in addition to that, just to extrapolate on that answer, in addition to building a curriculum, I think what is most important is every semester should have a practical exposure of how things work in the industry. That's when students will learn real time. Otherwise, it is very difficult for them to learn, right? I hope I have answered your question. Uh, and yeah, any other questions? Yeah, for next 5 years, value of business analysis, UI, UX designer. Um, so I think when you say business analyst and UI, UX designer, I think what is important is to understand from a user experience and user interface standpoint. Like I said, how is your digital adoption going to be? And if you look at the next 5 years, definitely there is going to be a lot of digitization and digital adoption across, right? So you your UX, UI, and all of that will be in greater demand. However, I'll caveat it. However, there could be AI that comes in at every given interval within that particular process. So my recommendation is, in if you want to stay ahead of the curve, start understanding at what point in your UI UX activities that you're working on can AI be brought in, right? So that you will know ahead of the curve where things are going to change and you can adapt according to that. Okay. Any other question? Okay. BTech student in third year, and I have a AI branch. So at this time, what should I focus more on as I coming future? Uh, so Surabhi, right? Yeah. Surabhi, my only suggestion to you is please don't change anything at this point in time, right? Whatever you're working on, whatever as an AI student, um, you know, if you want to look at specific areas, for example, today, as of now, agentic AI is very much important, right? Because agentic AI is able to plan and deliver things for us, which makes it easy when you look at it from a project manager's perspective, right? Why do you need so many project managers with Excel sheets or Jira and so on and so forth when agentic AI can plan everything for us and give us a report whenever we want, right? So tomorrow it could be something different, right? Everything will keep changing. My humble suggestion, Surbi, is continue to learn what you're learning. That's definitely required. Keep a watch for what is happening on the side in terms of things like um, what is happening on AI, what are the digital tools that are coming into place, how each tool is getting evolved. So nobody thought of this Google Nano Banana, right? Suddenly they just launched it, and that's it, done, right? So I think that's what is important, right? It's a very vague answer, I know, but I cannot give you a pinpointed answer because nothing what we speak today is in the trend for tomorrow, right? So it's very difficult to choose one area and try to understand how things have evolved from the first, so that you will be in a position to know what the future looks like, right? Um, okay, I'm saying I'm interested in what. Sorry, I didn't get the question from Tudor Money. Let me just go through. Uh, what was the question? Business analysis and UI UX. Which one to choose? Okay. I would definitely go with UI UX. That's very, very important. However, no disrespect to business analytics, right? It's also very good. But UI UX, I'll tell you why. Because uh, every app that you develop, every web page that is there, right? Everything is now controlled with AI. Like 2 days ago, I was trying to build some small website for something, and it was so easy for me to build the website using, some of the tools that we have. And if you look at how beautiful the user experience is there in defining or designing that, it's fantastic. I will go with that, right? Okay, I'm going to take the next question. We know that currently we students are not getting exposure. I know one way is to get internship, but are there any other way? Well, the one other way that I can think of is doing some kind of freelancing work, right? But the only risk over there is, or challenge I would say, is how many of you will get a freelancing job even without a qualification completed, is where the challenge is, right? Again, like I said, the internship that you need to get uh, by sitting inside a corporate company or any other organization is actually not required, right? What you need is appropriate mock training, which is just like how it is in a corporate world. That's what you need. It's like, when I don't know how many of you have done this, but when I applied or went for my car driving, they don't put you on the main car directly, right? So they give you a dummy car, and you just sit there, practice, how to use the turn signs and indicators, and when to stop, when to start, and stuff like that. I think it's the time for us to create something like that so that you guys can come there, play around, get some understanding, and then take it back to the corporate world. Question from YouTube chat. Okay. As you explained the session regarding future readiness, we do practice listed, but you still have very less number of placements and more higher. So, what is your opinion on this? Okay. Opinion as such, if you look at it, see, supply is definitely bigger than demand. The more important question is the supply relevant to the demand? That is what you need to check, because it's not about the number of placements. It is about whether the supply of whether the demand is uh, for the right set of uh, job opportunities. I think the skill sets are changing, guys, right? So I would probably look at it that way. I understand your point. Okay, I just answered that. Thank you, thank you. Okay. Is it difficult for freshers to get work from home job? Not really. There is nothing called as difficult or easy. It's about, again, skill set, right? Now corporates are also changing. They are like, okay, if you want to join as a fresher, you have to work only from home. Maybe you can do some freelancing, right? That gives you some experience. Once you get that experience, you no longer are a fresher, right? You are definitely somebody who's experienced. Then you can use that to get a job opportunity. However, I'm not getting your name. It just says Zoom user. But anyways, the one thing which I want to let you know is, if you're a fresher, don't aspire for a work from home. Go to the company and work there, because you will not learn culture of the organization otherwise. You will be holed up in some small, you know, uh, 10 by 10 room or a 6 by 10 room or whatever that room is. And for the rest of your life, you'll be only doing that. Right. So please go and make sure that you enjoy your work with your colleagues, get to know how to work on group dynamics. Just that is very difficult these days. People are so glued to the phone that we hardly, lift our head up and even speak to each other, right? So you don't know how to handle if somebody comes and gives you a bad feedback. You take it very personal and you quit. Who is the loser? You, not us, right? That's how the corporate world will think, correct? So please, please, please think about it. And I think it's yeah, 5 minutes past the time. But if there is any further questions, happy to. Else, a big, big, big thank you to Dr. Dhanraj sir and his team, who have put a massive effort for almost a month to bring this to life. And I'm so happy to be part of this session. I'm sure we can connect on LinkedIn. I'm available there. And yeah, so let's see how we can take this journey forward, guys. It's important for all of you to be, at least if not anything, be ready, be prepared, right? And when the opportunity comes, you are able to grab it with both your hands and not let go of it. Yeah. All the best once again to all the participants. And thank you. Have a beautiful Sunday tomorrow.
So thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful webinar on Skill, Adapt, Succeed. So building a future-ready talent pipeline from campus to corporate. It's a very eye-opening session, sir. And I thank all the participants, because we have participants from Sri Lanka, Nepal, and other South Asian countries also. So your employability equal to skills, behavior, exposure, attitude will give a different perspective about employment to all of the participants, sir. So as well as your view on different areas of technology, as well as so how a student has to adapt to that particular corporate environment is very, very important. So thank you, sir. Thank you for spending a Saturday evening with us, because I know you are having a very tight schedule. So you accepted our invitation, and thank you once again. Thank you, sir, for your wonderful presentation. I thank you all the participants and our Readers Menu team, so who worked backend to support us to run this program in YouTube as well as Zoom also. And I thank all the placement officers, faculties, dean, directors, HOD, principals, and some of the college training and placement officers informed that so they are live telecasting this particular event on their hostel rooms
Oh,
for students' benefit. So I once again thank you all the placement officers, directors, deans, principal, HODs, so who support this particular program, the grand success. Thank you. So the feedback form is shared in YouTube chat as well as this particular Zoom chat also. It will be open up to 8:20. So kindly copy this link, and after that you can submit your feedback. You please copy this link, because if we close this Zoom means you can't able to copy. So copy the feedback link and you can fill the feedback form. Your certificate will be sent before 10th December. So kindly copy the feedback link. It is available. So thank you, sir. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Dr. Dhanraj, sir. And I will stay in touch with you. Thank
Yes,
you very
yes,
much.
sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Bye.
you all.
Yes, sir.
Bye.
Bye. Sir, please wait, sir, because they are copy. Our readers menu team, please wait, because உங்க copy ஆகுது. Please wait. After that, we can close.
ஓகேங்க சார்.
Yes, sir. Yes, readers penalty, we can close the session.
ஓகேங்க சார், தேங்க்யூ.
Thank you, sir.